You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show where we talk all about advanced AI solutions with TTS Avatar and Azure OpenAI with my friend Andreas. Make sure you tune in. Hello and welcome to this episode of the AI Show. We're talking about advanced AI solutions with TTS Avatar and Azure OpenAI, part two. If you didn't see the send you episode, make sure you go and look at that. How you doing, Andreas? How you doing, my friend?
I'm fine, thank you. What about you?
Fantastic. So, for those who don't know you, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. My name is Andreas Kopp. I'm a technical specialist for AI solutions. So I'm basically working with customers every day, designing and implementing AI solutions based on Azure.
That's amazing. So, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, in the previous session, you had a conversation with Senyu about the new TTS avatar capabilities.
Mhm.
We have built an AI solution accelerator for various AI vision use cases. And to bring this a little bit further towards, let's say, enterprise avatar solutions, we added two use cases to our Vision AI Solution Accelerator. The first one lets you create rich avatar videos from your content. That's use case number one. And the second use case I would like to show is really how you can create an interactive avatar experience for a customer assistant, for example.
That's amazing. Can you tell us more about each of these? I put the slide up there so you can explain it to us.
Yeah, perfect. So, yeah, if it's okay for you, we can jump right into the video generation use case.
Let's do it.
Um, so, if you want to create an avatar video, it all starts with a kind of talking script. So you have to provide text for your avatar to speak for you. There are two options. This could be, in the simplest case, it could be just a text file, plain text. However, if you have more advanced requirements for, let's say, tuning the pronunciation, working with phonemes, or adding avatar gestures, you can use the speech synthesis markup language, SSML, so you have more flexibility there. And there is actually a very nice tool in the Speech Studio, which is called Audio Content Generation Tool, where you can just write down, scribble down your script for the avatar to speak, then convert it to SSML, and that's what you feed into the API to create the avatar video, which is step number two. So you take your input text, the SSML or the plain text, you call the TTS avatar API to generate the video. There you can select the character of the avatar. You can specify settings for the video format that you want to have. And this is basically the output that you get. So you get a video file with a white or transparent background, and you see the talking avatar. But that's for most solutions, of course, not sufficient because you want to add some content, right? So you have content, you have maybe background music, and you want to combine everything into one final rich video experience. And this is where our solution accelerator comes into place. So in the notebook that I'm going to show you in a minute, you have the ability to combine content video or content image with maybe with background music. So everything what you want to have for a rich final video experience. There are two ways to do it. One is if you want to do it in a more, let's say, automated fashion, you can use the FFmpeg tool for automated combination of those assets. Or if you want to have more, let's say, flexibility, a more intuitive way to do it, you can use a video editor like Clipchamp, for example.
So,
And
just a
then
couple
you
of
get your final result. Sorry.
no, that makes perfect sense. So, just a couple of questions. So, when you're using SSML to create speech, it's creating audio and it's also creating video. But those two things, are they separate or are they put together?
Oh, that's a very good question. So they are actually separate things that are combined by the API, which means you can have your avatar and select a voice, which can be one of the neural voices that we provide. but it also can be the voice of the actual person. So if you have a custom avatar, for example, so you could, for example, create a video of yourself and also train your own voice. It could be one experience. So it would be Seth, the avatar of Seth with his voice, but it could also be another voice. So it's two services, but in the API they are combined. So the end result is your talking avatar. So it speaks with this one of the neural voices, and of course you have get all those gestures.
And that's also it's basically you're creating speech, and then the speech gets created into a video, but that video is just has a plain background, and there's some work that we need to do to make that video be part of our assets, and that's the what the second two other parts are doing. Is that right?
Exactly, exactly. So then let's quickly check out the notebook. This is, by the way, our accelerator. So there is one notebook end to end which guides you through the process of creating such a video. And you see, it's a relatively straightforward service. So all you need is a speech resource. So it's the TTS speech service, which also supports the avatar generation now. And here you can select a project folder for your video project. You can either select SSML as input or plain text. As I said, we typically recommend SSML because it's more flexible. We have a helper function which lets you download the actual video file that has been generated. And here are some examples how you can create this text input for the avatar based on the audio content generation tool. It's a very flexible, it's very convenient, and then as the result, you just extract the SSML as the input. And here also to show the flexibility of working with SSML directly. You can select the voice. That was your question, Tess, if
Hmm.
it's different.
Right.
You can select the language. You can select the style if you want to have a shouting avatar or a whispering avatar. There is a lot of things you can do from the voice perspective, but also from the perspective of the avatar. So there are custom gestures. So for example, let's assume you want to highlight a product. So you want to point the avatar to a product. You can do that as well. So these avatar gestures are also configurable using SSML. So once we have uploaded our speaking script, here comes now the point where we actually call the API to generate the avatar. So relatively straightforward. Here we select which avatar we want to have. So there are built-in avatars that come with the service. You also have the ability, as I mentioned, to train your own avatar. Then you would switch the character name to your own avatar. And then you can configure things like which video format do you want to have. Here it's WebM because we want to have a transparent background
Hmm.
for the content that we want to add, etc., etc. So here you can configure the settings. Then the avatar video is synthesized. Then here it's finally then downloaded to your local um, project folder. And here comes then the second part. This is the value of our solution accelerator. Here we are assuming you have a content image or a content video. So there are some explanations how you can turn a PowerPoint presentation into a high resolution video, which is then combined with this video that the avatar service has generated with a transparent background. So we can nicely fit everything together. And here are a couple of options. So I would say, for more simpler use cases where you want to automate things, you can use a tool like FFmpeg, and you
Hmm.
can get quite geeky here. So
Yeah.
here are a couple of examples where you say, okay, combine those two elements, add background music with reduced volume, crop the avatar and reposition it. So it's really funny that you can do these kind of things with the command line tool, but of course it gets more and more complicated. So if you really want to have a very customized experience, probably you want to use a video editor. So there is a very simple option to use Clipchamp, for example, which is a built-in Windows video editor, which you can also use.
I mean, this is amazing. I've had to do a thing or two inside of FFmpeg. You can do a ton of stuff, and it's cool that you're showing us the actual code, but you brought an end result. Is that right?
Yeah. So in our team, one of our teammates, her name is Christina. We thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we train a custom avatar? So what Christina, my colleague, did, she recorded approximately 20 minutes of video of herself at home. So it was not a professional setup. So no green screen, no professional lighting. Usually you would go into a studio
Right.
to really get a professional recording. But anyway, you will see the result in a minute. And then based on this flow here, we let Christina or her avatar explain how this flow works overall. And yeah, happy to show you the experience.
All right, let's take a look.
Hello, I am Christina. Let me show you how to create an engaging avatar video in 4 steps. It begins with a talking script for your avatar. You can get started with a text file. However, we recommend to use the Speech Synthesis Markup Language, SSML, for advanced requirements. It allows you to fine-tune the voice of your avatar, including pronunciation or the expression of special terms. Also, you can add avatar gestures like pointing to an item. The audio content creation tool of the Speech Studio provides an intuitive user interface to create an input file for the process. With your talking script ready, you can use the Azure Text-to-Speech API to synthesize your avatar video. Besides providing the SSML input, you can specify the character and style of the avatar, such as standing or sitting, and the video format. Our Jupyter Notebook will guide you through these steps in detail. In many cases, you probably want to add a content video with text, illustrations, animations, etc. to the final avatar video. Our toolset guides you on exporting an animated PowerPoint presentation as a high-resolution video for this purpose. Finally, you combine the avatar video, content, and optional elements like background music to compose a rich video experience. This can either be done using the FFmpeg tool or a video editor like Clipchamp for more control. Using a video editor provides an intuitive way to fine-tune the timings of the video and adding effects and animations. We can't wait to see what you will create.
Well, that was really cool, and that's your actual colleague, right?
Yes, yeah, that's Christina.
That's amazing. So here's a question, because I like that's really cool. I now I know how to make my own text, put into SSML, generate a video. But is there a way to do like interactive experiences as well?
Uh, yes, and that's actually that brings me to the second use case, which is how to create an interactive avatar app experience. So you can imagine a use case like we want to provide an service for customers or citizens or employees. So there are where I, as a customer, am able to ask questions about product, for example, or maybe even trigger business processes, right? Like checking my order status or even ordering a product. So I think there is a broad range of use cases. We also have an first customer in Germany, which is Commerzbank. It's one of the biggest
Mhm.
banks in Germany. And they were also featured at the Ignite conference 2 weeks ago, where this feature was introduced. And they are working on exactly this, I would say, application pattern for a virtual banking assistant. So, and in our repo, you have the code. So in our case, it's an auto gear shopping assistant, which you can reuse. I would like to show you the architecture first because it's
Yes.
quite comprehensive. So it's not only the avatar service. So the idea is you can speak to the avatar. So you have the speech to text service so that you speak to the avatar in natural language. It responds to you in an interactive fashion. So you see the avatar is talking to you. But we also want to have this backend integration, right? So we want to be able to answer questions about products. So there is Azure AI search, which triggers um, vector search if I'm asking information about products. But I also want to support business transactions like show me my account status. I want to order a product, or what's my how many loyalty points do I have? So it's a quite complex yeah, this retrieval augmented generation pattern that we talk about now for months with Azure OpenAI, plus the avatar service. And the interesting thing in this context here is that we are using OpenAI, Azure OpenAI function calling to do the orchestration. We are using Azure OpenAI function calling to understand from the conversation with you what's your intent. So what do you want to do? So you want to have questions about a product, or you want to order a product, or you want to check your account status. So the large language model understands your intent. It has a set of functions. These are actual Python functions, and it knows when to trigger those functions based on your intent, which makes it a very, I would say, flexible and scalable end-to-end solution with the avatar as a front end.
That's really cool. Can you show us how it works?
I can show you how it works. It's a quite complex application. So we have a JavaScript front end, and we have this Python backend with those function calling capability. In the interest of time, I would suggest maybe focusing a little bit on the backend, because it's quite interesting and also
Yeah.
reusable for other use cases. So if I go to VS Code here once again, I can show you how we are leveraging function calling. As I mentioned, in this context, in this application, we have 4 functions, so 4 tools, if you will, that the LLM is aware about, and the LLM can actually trigger or suggest to trigger using those functions. And all you need to do is, on the first hand, you have to explain the LLM in natural language which functions are available and when to call them. And this is here on the left-hand side. So for example, we support a question like, how many bonus points do I have, or how many loyalty points do I have? So based on just this simple description here, the LLM is able to figure out, okay, now I want to call this function. It's if Seth, for example, asks for his bonus points. And then, of course, we also want to support input parameters. So here in this use case, it's important that we also provide the account ID, so the ID of the customer, as a function parameter. So we have to specify this as well, similar to what's the status of my order. And then there are also more complex functions. So when you order a product, you have to provide more information, so more parameters. So we have the account ID once again, but we also want to specify which product to order,
Right.
how many to order, and then we also trigger a search, for example. So what you see on the left-hand side, so this JSON structure is just to explain the model, which functions are there in natural language, so it is able to understand when to call them. And on the right-hand side, you see the actual Python orchestration code. So when we are calling the LLM, that's the typical conversational flow that we use with ChatGPT, for example. So you have the messages input. So the question of the user, do you have a tent for 2 people? We specify this functions definition, so the LLM is aware of it. And we also let the LLM decide automatically if a function should be called or not. Then, of course, we need to have a mapping between the functions that we defined here in natural language and with the actual Python functions. They are specified a little bit below. We will see them in a minute. But here, our code now is, okay, if the LLM says, call this function, then this Python function is actually called. Here we get the name of the function, we get the function arguments, And this here is then the magic line where the function, the Python function, is actually executed.
Right.
Here, if I scroll down a little bit below, we get a return from the Python function, like uh, you have 500 loyalty points, or yes, I have triggered an order for you. So we get a response from the function. This response gets back to the model so that the user gets the information, okay, I have ordered the product for you, for example. And then finally, at the end, you see the actual function. So we have a helper function to execute a generic SQL query because we are using Azure SQL, and then you can see them side by side. So here is the definition of the get bonus points function, and here's the actual Python code, which is then called. Same for get order details or finally order product. And that's it. And that this, from my perspective, this is very, very flexible. It's very scalable. Um, uh, of course, also beyond avatar use cases. So
Yeah.
that's a very powerful pattern.
So this is using just standard OpenAI function calling, and
Exactly.
then you're hooking up the function calls that it thinks it should do, passing in the parameters, and then going to town. How does this link up to the avatar, though?
Yeah, so there is a front end application. So it's a JavaScript code. And here we are using the speech SDK for
I see.
JavaScript to connect to the avatar service. And then these are, let's say, this is backend functionality that is then called when needed. And um, yeah, we also have a demo where you see one of my colleagues talking to this service, using the service. And if you look very closely, you can find out from the context of the conversation which function is called because you have seen them here. And
Right.
also maybe you pay close attention what happens when my colleague switches the language from English to German, how it automatically responds it, translates everything, even though all content is only in English. So there is no German content in the knowledge base, for example.
Well, that's awesome. Let's see what it does. Let's play it.
Hello, my name is Lisa. How can I help you?
How many bonus points do I have?
You currently have 406 bonus points, which have a cash value of $42.74.
Tell me about my order status.
You have 2 orders. The Slumber Drifter is expected to be delivered on October 30th, 2023, and the Serve Master Pro is expected to be delivered on October 29th, 2023.
Haben Sie Wanderschuhe für Damen?
Ja, wir haben Wanderschuhe für Damen. Unsere somit Stride Wanderschuhe bieten hervorragende Unterstützung, Komfort und Stil für anspruchsvolle Wanderungen. Sie sind aus hochwertigem Leder gefertigt, wasserdicht und bieten eine robuste Sohle für eine zuverlässige Traktion. Mit elegantem Design und Nachhaltigkeitsfokus sind sie die perfekte Wahl für Outdoor-Abenteuer. Yes, we have the Elysian Voyager, a 2-person travel tent designed for comfort, durability, and portability. It features ample space for 2 adults, a dual-layer ventilated design for airflow, and a waterproof construction. It is lightweight, easy to assemble, and comes with user-friendly features like dual doors and vestibules. The Elysian Voyager is also eco-friendly and comes with a 5-year warranty.
Order it for me, please.
Your order for the Elysian Voyager tent has been placed. The expected delivery date is October 21st, 2023.
That was amazing. It was cool to see. You're basically on the front end converting the speech to text and then sending that text to this endpoint, and then it's rendering everything with the avatar on the front end. Is that right?
Exactly, yes.
That's amazing. So where can people go to find out more?
Yeah, 2 tips. The first one is take a look at our repo of the Vision AI Solution Accelerator. There are a couple of interesting use cases. The avatar ones are two of them. And then, of course, there is the documentation, and there's also a blog post that was just published 2 weeks ago when the capability was introduced.
This is amazing. I'm putting the links down there so folks can take a look. Well, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching. We're learning all about advanced AI solutions with TTS Avatar and Azure OpenAI. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care.